So I had a question come in on Instagram from someone that followed one of the other posts and liked it. And her question was, why am I always experiencing tightness in the calf and the hamstrings? A few reasons for that. My follow-up question that was specifically, what position are you feeling that tightness in those muscles? If we're talking about in the standing position, when you're standing up, you're feeling tightness in the hamstring just standing here, that's going to be most likely a different reason than if you're laying on your back and you're bringing that leg up into like a hamstring stretch position. If you're standing there and you're feeling those hamstrings and calf muscles just tight, that could have to do something with head position, maybe neurological weakness in the neck, something could be off in the eye muscles, something could be off in the hips and the pelvis, and how you're just able to kind of stabilize your body over the feet. So if there's weakness in any of those areas, that could, in the standing position, have those hamstrings tighten up to try to keep you from falling forward where your body is trying to pull you into forward position. But we can dive more into that if that's a particular case. Most people that come in and say, oh, my hamstrings are tight, and they lay on their back and they do that hamstring stretch position. Yes, now the reason why you're feeling tightness in that position either comes down to neurological weakness, your insufficient structure, meaning your joint doesn't actually allow you to go into that position, or insufficient length of the muscle. And I say insufficient length, not like it's a problem, but like that's just the condition that your body, or the structure of your body in that particular moment. Yes, it can change, up for debate how we would change that, but again, for another video on that one. So when I say the structure is the limiting factor, so you have the coxofemoral joint, the hip there, and this job right here. So if the shape of this joint only allows me to bring the leg this far into a hip flex position, I'm gonna feel some tension in my hamstring and my calf right there, okay? No amount of stretching or strengthening for that matter in the quads or the toe extensors could actually get my leg to go further into that position, because the door hinge, the structure itself, is what the limiting factor is. Now, if they get up into this position and we don't suspect it's a joint shape that's limiting them there and they're feeling that tightness, then that would be most likely a neurological weakness, meaning these muscles that are shortening to pull that leg up into that position are not feeding information back to the rest of the system, and then that leg is just not, the hamstring is just not letting you move into that position that is perceiving to be a problem. So as that leg comes up, you hold that hamstring tightness. Again, tightness is often secondary to a weakness in the hip flexors in that particular position. So we can address that via muscle activation techniques and a vertical corrective exercise techniques that we could use to elicit a response there. Now, that particular position for a hamstring stretch position is really dependent also on pelvic floor stability as well as lower abdominal stability. So if you can't contract efficiently the lower abdominals and the pelvic floor, you have this kind of faulty, this foundation built on quicksand. So when you do try to bring that leg up, if you can't stabilize the pelvis via those, really not just the abdominal muscles, anything in the pelvic girdle and hip complex, if something there isn't able to stabilize that pelvis, then that leg isn't going to be able to, your body isn't going to be able to produce the force to pull it into that position, which is another reason why the hamstrings will then tighten up. So few reasons why it could happen. If it is a neuromuscular thing, one of the most beneficial and easiest kind of catch-all exercises to kind of start to reverse that or increase your range of motion there is like a spinal flexion quad contraction. So I'll have people like stand with their hands on the counter, do it sideways. So then I'm trying to round my spine forward, think about pulling the rib cage down towards my pubic bone as I'm tightening my quads as tight as I can. You're just gonna hit everything on the front of the body there, contracting. Start off nice and easy and just kind of progress into the intensity of that contraction and then see if that helps. You will definitely see a change in your range of motion with that, whether that range of motion is coming from the hip or whether it's coming from just your ability to stabilize that pelvis and tilt the pelvis a little more. Who knows? Without seeing your particular case, it's hard to say. But that will start to make a difference in those tight hamstrings. Let me know if that helps. If you have other questions, shoot them over to me and we'll adapt this video to that.